Hello and welcome to the 2018 Winter Media Day. My name is Jack Clayton. I'll be your host for the afternoon. Luckily for us, we are joined today by 5 of the Winter Athletics, their coaches and a few players. We're going to start it off with the bowling team. Today I'm joined by Coach Brandon Hernandez, Cameron Kotwitz, and Malia Smotherman. Last year the bowling team placed 8th in state for the boys, and we have 2 returning seniors that placed well at bowling at the state tournament with us. So, Coach, anything you'd like to say real quick?
First off, just excited for the season. There are, like I said, a couple of kids coming back that did really well last year. With the boys going to state, there's a lot of momentum going forward, so we're hoping for a good season.
All right, we're open for questions.
This question is for Cameron. Seeing that you finished 14th in state last season, how is that motivation to go even further this upcoming season?
I think it's important to not only view what I did in the past, but just try and make the team better. That's a big goal of mine this year, is not only to focus on my individual development, but also the development of the other guys on the team and girls. Because I think it's important that with this sport, it's not only about how you do, it's how the team does. And while I had success last year as an individual, I'd love it if this year we could do even better as a team.
Malia, what kind of team atmosphere do you have on the bowling team?
I like to encourage everyone to do their best, and I hype everyone up during meets and make Hernandez laugh a lot.
My question is also for Malia. Placing 9th at state last year, how have you worked in the off season to improve or succeed this year again?
I did a challenge over the summer with a bunch of the bowling team, and that was mainly individual against other individuals to improve our averages and our technique.
Coach, how many players do you think have the potential to go to state this year?
Ideally, it would be great for the teams to both go, in which case we would take 12 to state, and that's what we always shoot for. I mean, that's the goal, is to take both boys and girls to state. I don't think that's happened in the history of the program, but with, like we said, a lot of boys coming back from last year, I think that they have a great opportunity, and we have some up-and-comers on the girls' side, so crossing our fingers that we can take both.
All right.
This question is for both of the players. What did off-season training look like, and how has it helped you become a better bowler?
For me, I mean, the one thing to make at least myself better, and I think it helps everyone, is just to get out and bowl more, whether that's, like Malia said, in the challenge that we did over the summer, or in other bowling leagues, or just practicing every week. I think that's what's helped me the most, is just consistently bowling and not losing your edge over the off season, as a lot of people tend to do. Other high school bowlers from other high schools sometimes don't always keep it going.
I think this is a question that any of you guys could answer. Not a lot of people in the school know about the bowling team. What's something that they should know or consider about trying out?
You have a lot of fun. We make practices very fun, and then when we go out of town, like to Lawrence, we go out to dinner, and team dinners are always really fun for coaches as well.
And that's the primary thing, is just it's upbeat, it's lighthearted. It is competitive. We do have, we are a competitive sport. We want to make sure that we do well in what we do, but we also understand that going to practice and bowling for an hour and a half every single day, it sounds like it's just, I don't know. So sometimes what practice looks like kind of seems a little bit off, but as far as it goes, there are a lot of things that you can do during practice to really up your game, which a lot of people don't quite understand how that works. So just what practice looks like is oftentimes the most misunderstood.
And a lot of people don't think that they're very good at bowling, but I encourage, no matter what you bowl, I mean, even if you've bowled with other people just casually, if you come and try out, I mean, you might be surprised at how you compare to maybe some other bowlers that are there. So, I mean, even if you have even a vague interest in bowling, come and try out, because the more people that try out, the better chance we have at getting a successful team this year, and you could have a lot of fun as well.
And kind of along those same lines, like you said, bowling casually can be a lot of fun. Is there something that bowling casually with like your family members or friends, does that bother you at all?
I mean, I always tell people if they want to come and bowl with me, I'm happy to. I mean, I'm up there a lot anyway, so just having people there makes it even more fun. Really, any skill or age of person, I'm fine with bowling with toddlers or bowling with 80-year-olds at the bowling alley. I mean, it's always fun for me, and I think it's fun for other people too, because it kind of gives them a challenge. And I mean, we mess around a lot too. It doesn't always have to be serious. But
yeah, for me personally, I hate bowling with my family because I like to say I was born and raised in a bowling alley, so I've been bowling literally since I was 4 years old. And my mom is the consummate coach. So regardless if we're just messing around or actually in a league, she's constantly coaching me, which is not great at times. But I don't know, it's always fun to go bowl, even if it's just with friends messing around. So,
Coach, what's it like to follow in the footsteps of a legendary coach like Coach Brandt?
Those are some massive shoes to fill. The number of times that I heard throw the ball harder as his go-to for advice, I'm hoping I can eclipse that and provide those great words of wisdom. Oh, I got nothing on Graham. I'll leave the legacy to him.
This is for the players. What do you feel Coach Hernandez will offer the team that Coach Graham lacked?
you can
Don't look at me.
I don't know.
I think my answer to that would be that it's kind of hard to compare the two. Graham and Hernandez both have their own specific set of skills. Graham, I think, did a wonderful job of just being that coach and being the supportive person that he is. And then Hernandez does an amazing job at the specific techniques of bowling. I think that's one thing that we'll especially get from him. We've had it all these 4 years, though, that he's been the assistant coach, but that's the biggest thing.
Graham likes to make a lot of fun in everything. Like, Hernandez is more down into the detail of making sure that we get where we get and our technique is good. And Graham just likes to have fun. Like, at state, I threw a gutter ball, and he just called me gutter ball the rest of the time.
All right, and that's all the time we have for questions for the bowling team. Thank you guys for coming. After a quick commercial, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Media Day. I'm now joined by the swim and dive team with Coach Brandstrom, Aiden Hurley, Nate Peck, and Will Kelly. Last year, Bradley Davis had a great run at state, making second team All-State and finishing second in the diving competition. These three are the returning seniors for the swim team. Coach, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Okay. Yeah, we're just excited for the season. We had our first practice yesterday and started off hard with 4 miles in the water, and we lost 10 seniors last year and 5 of our state kids with our divers and Stephen and Jacob graduating, but these guys are already picking up the slack by doing off-season training, and the guys all know that they have to compete for different spots on the relay. So we're just excited to see how the year goes.
All right, any questions?
This is for the players. Do you guys plan on taking your game to the college gate level?
Probably not, but if a college approaches me, I would consider it.
I would have to agree.
Yeah, same.
All right, I have a question about your guys' schedule. It's obviously a lot different than a lot of other athletics at Northwest. What does your daily schedule look like in the middle of the season?
So we have 8 practices a week. We got Monday through Friday after school, and then Saturday morning, and then we got Monday and Wednesday before school.
And how do you maintain the motivation to do 8 practices a week? How do you stay motivated to spend all that time in the pool?
Just sleep a lot.
I mean, really, you just want to do well in swimming. So, like, if you want to do well, you know that you have to work really hard, and that's really what you have to do.
Is there special training for different races?
I'd say kind of. For distance, we've got like more distance practices, breaststroke stuff. You work on like certain kicks, I guess, in your breaststroke strokes. And same for all different 4 things.
What do you guys do to prepare for your swim meets?
I personally, as a team, we all warm up, and then after warm-ups, we'll just chill in the wet area, and then I personally listen to music. That helps.
Lots of music. Chants.
Like Jack said earlier, losing Bradley Davis as a huge part of the team last year. Who is going to step into his place this year?
I think me, Will, and Aiden have all stepped into Bradley's place as being team captains and just taking on that leadership role.
Also, we've got some new divers because Brad was a diver, and they added lots of points in our meets. So we've got some new divers this year, so that should help.
And with you 3 being the leaders on this year's team, what wisdom can you impart on underclassmen or new swimmers that they maybe couldn't get elsewhere?
You're definitely going to have to work hard, and then if you do, you're going to do well.
Yeah, don't quit. I mean, it sucks at first, but it's worth it if you stick with it.
At first, even if you can't finish everything, if you just do your best, you can eventually do pretty well.
So what new records are you guys hoping to place this year?
At least the 500 free. That one's definitely going to go. Possibly the 200 free relay. The 200 IM's kind of iffy. That one's pretty fast. Any others?
What is your favorite type of dive combination that you've done?
We're not divers.
None of us have dove.
I have a question for the players. Do you air dry or machine dry your Speedos?
It's a combination. Just depends on the time.
Coach, what is probably the hardest thing about coaching swim and dive?
The hardest or the?
Yeah, or like most difficult or something.
I think just mainly because every year we have different people in different spots and trying to make sure that individually they do well and finding what their strengths are, and because it's not a one-size-fits-all. Some of them are better at some things. Some need to work on turns, some need to work on starts, some need to work on their second half of their race, some need to work on the first half of the race. And being able to work on all of that at the same time is probably the most time-consuming for me. But like I said, for the last couple years, we've had a great group of kids that they know they're fighting for spots, and that whole motivation factor that you guys asked about, they know they're going to lose their spot if somebody's faster than they are, and they want to be on the relays that go to state. They want those spots in the meets because we are only allowed to have certain people swim in certain events, and if they are slow, they go out of town, they miss a practice, someone else is going to pass them up. So that's their own motivation. I get to watch them race each other in practice because they know they want that other person's spot. So that makes my job easier.
Kind of along those lines, Coach, are you planning on implementing any changes or building upon workouts that you did last year? And if so, what do those type of practices seek to improve?
Well, we already yesterday with our first practice swam 1,000 yards more than they did last year at the first day of practice. These guys are getting stronger, which is about 2,000 yards more than these guys did 2 years ago. And so they're getting stronger, so we add more into that. We also have a big group of freshmen coming in, so it's more of a division there because those guys are really new. And so we have to implement some things to not totally scare them off right away so that we can build that part of our program up. But again, it's just as we see how they go, then we have to see what is the strengths. And with the kids that we lost, Jacob was our breaststroker. He's swimming at William Jewell this year. That's a huge hit for us. Steven broke the 100 fly school record. And so we've got to have a couple people that can fill those spots in order for us to be able to keep going strong at state and league. So.
I have another question for you, Coach, and I'll be asking both you and Coach Brandstrom just to make sure I get a consistent answer. Which one of you is the better coach, or I guess the coach in the household? Potential feature story on the line here, so I hope the answer is good.
I don't know. Probably depends on the day, the time of the day, and which kid we are coaching over at home. I don't know. I do the shopping if that counts. I don't know. We'll see what he has to say.
Players, do you guys enjoy relays or individual races more?
Yes. I'd say they're both pretty fun. Relays, it's more of a team event, so you get a lot more hype with the team, like you do for like a game like soccer. You get a team atmosphere, but individual, you can just go as hard as you can. It's all about you. So.
Yeah, man, relay's so hype. I'm loving it.
Individual events can be kind of hard because it's like just you, so it's like really hard to get motivated for that. But like relays, you can get really motivated because you don't want to let down the relay.
Players, how do you stay fit during the off season?
Off season? All right. I was gonna say during the season we don't have a choice, but pretty much off season we have like summer swimming. You go year round. You swim pretty much all the time if you're that good. I just kind of swim, but a lot of lifting too, I guess.
All right, that's all the time we have for the swim and dive team. Thank you all for being out here. We'll take it to a quick commercial, and we'll be back with the wrestling team. Welcome back to Winter Media Day. I'm now joined by Coach Mesa, Caden Howard, and Quentin Talbot from the wrestling team. Last year, one of their best wrestlers, Cavion, placed third in state on a pretty severe injury. This year, Q and Caden, are ranked pretty highly in the state and have a pretty good chance to succeed this year. Coach, do you have any statements that you'd like to open up with?
Not really.
Right.
I'm looking forward to the season. We have these two guys kind of going to lead the season for us a little bit, and I'm looking for big expectations. Obviously, we had some key losses, like you said, but we're definitely going to look forward for this season.
All right, open to questions.
This is for Quentin. Seeing that you're ranked 6th in your weight class in state, how is that motivation for you to keep moving forward?
I would like to be ranked higher, so I'm going to compete very hard in those tournaments where it's a lot of the other ranked kids, so I can try to succeed in there.
Coach, who in the preseason has really stepped up to become a leader?
I would say these two guys actually have stepped up quite a bit. They have high expectations of themselves, and I have very high expectations of them. So these two definitely are some of the leaders. I have some other athletes that are in other sports, so at the time being right now, these two are probably the first ones that I would call upon. Brady Pellman was also looked up a little bit in those roles as well.
For the wrestlers, you guys are in the midst of Hell Week right now. What does that mean, and what purpose does it serve?
Pretty much the first week of practice, you just are trying to get the kids back in shape and learning the fundamentals of the sport. So it's just figuring out who's going to become a leader and who's going to be on the varsity team.
Kaden, what are one of the biggest struggles for wrestlers during the season?
Well, we have pretty tough practices every day of the week when we're not competing. And then almost every weekend we have competitions, and some of those are like down in Wichita. And then obviously we have to make weight and stuff too for those competitions.
How do you maintain that weight? Like, what kind of diet do you follow?
Well, it depends how much weight you're trying to cut, but usually you want to eat healthy, drink a lot of water, and you want to eat more food that's healthier than the, like crap stuff like fast food, and practice harder. Practice hard, like wear layers like hoodies. There'll be heaters in the room, so it'll be hot so you can sweat off a lot of weight.
This is for Coach Mesa. What experiences and coaching have you carried over from your time wrestling in college to the boys sitting here today and the rest of the team?
Some of the things I carry over are just my experiences with my teammates. I want them to kind of bond together and become a team, even though it's an individual sport. Other aspects are some like training aspects. We do similar things that we've done in college before. We also, it's a hybrid. Every year's a little different. Every year's a little bit of the same. We try to do more of what works, and we try to add new techniques and stuff like that. So wrestling in itself is a sport that kind of keeps evolving. And so we just try to bring some of those things back in my day, so to speak, to their day now.
Quentin, what are some of the things you focus on during practice?
Well, what I focus on in practice is I'm more of a outside single kind of guy. Like, I don't really like to get all in there, all tied up and neutral. So usually I shoot outside, like for the legs and stuff. And on top and bottom, on bottom I'm pretty fast and I have good hand control. And on top, usually I like to break him down and get a double chicken wing for the pin.
This one's both for the players. During practice, do you implement or do anything to help your endurance or conditioning for harder matches?
Yeah, pretty much every practice at the end we'll do like sprints, or the assistant coaches will run us through an ab workout. So just trying to get our cardio up and getting prepared for those intense matches.
Coach, in your mind, what sets a wrestler apart? Is there a specific body type you look for, an attitude, anything in particular that makes a wrestler great?
Well, first of all, there's 14 different weight classes. So the smallest is 106, and the heaviest is 285. So in between those two weights, they can fluctuate as much as possible. And so we look for tall guys, short guys, bigger guys, skinny. It doesn't matter. It's definitely a sport for anybody. But what does help make them a lot better is whether they're disciplined, hardworking, and really eager to learn. Because if they got to get through a little bit of a technique situation, but once they master their technique, they get a lot better. That's for sure.
These are for both athletes. What do wrestlers do to stay in shape and work on technique when you aren't in high school season?
After high school season, there's two other styles of wrestling. There's freestyle and there's Greco, and it's just like two whole differently like wrestling styles. So Greco, you're not allowed to like shoot for the legs. You can only do upper body like throws and stuff like that. And usually, if you really want to do good in the sport, you will participate in those two styles.
All right, and that's all the time we'll have for the wrestling team.
Yeah, one more thing.
Okay, one more thing from Coach.
I do have one more thing to add. A lot of you probably haven't seen a wrestling match, and we have 3 home duels. and those home duels, I would encourage you to go participate. A tournament can last a whole day, and so I can see how it would be boring to somebody that doesn't understand it. But a duel, you'll get a chance to watch all these guys, your classmates, and they go through those weight classes, like the 106 to the heavyweight matches. And you'll see some guys that are here in econ wrestling, probably some students that are in the A&E programs, as well as all over in the school. So it's kind of a cool thing. We have two ones that we open up with Turner at the very end of November, and then we have another one early January, and then senior, we only have 3 duels, so senior night will be early, one's early December, and then senior night's like January the 9th. So I would really like to see as many people as we can for a duel, because it's one team versus another team in all the weight classes, and it gets pretty fun, exciting.
All right, you heard it here first. Make sure to come out and support your wrestlers at the end of this month. We'll give you a date when we get a little bit closer to that on ONW Now. We'll be right back after a quick commercial with the girls basketball team. Welcome back. We're now joined by the girls basketball team here with Coach Joel Brandstrom, Erica Bay, and Sarah Beth Gildner. The girls are coming off a 17-5 season and are looking forward to the future. Coach, do you have any opening statements?
Yeah, you guys forgot my sponsorships up again. So just want to let you know, thank you to Hy-Vee. Make sure you get a nice tight shot in on that one. Doritos, and my all-important Skittles. Taste the rainbow.
All right, we apologize once again for forgetting Brandstrom's sponsorships. Reporters, questions to you.
Question to the players. Who has really stepped up during the offseason to lead the team?
Personally, I think all the seniors have stepped up. We all have to play different roles in leading the team.
Yeah, I think we just need to focus on who needs to play what role, and we're still kind of figuring that out, but I think that'll be beneficial.
What is the biggest difference between this year's team and last year's team?
We have lost some experience and a lot of size, but other than that, that's basically it.
Do you guys plan on still running the same gap defense you did as last year? And if you did, can you further explain to the audience what that is?
Yeah, so basically gap defense is where you are between the person who has the ball and your defender, and basically if the person with the ball drives you but stop it, pretty much is what it's called, and then you go and close out your person, and then, yeah, it's pretty much just denying all passes, so. How are you guys feeling about the Sunflower League this year?
I think as a team, we obviously would like to win it, but that would be a good goal.
I think there's a lot of competition, but I think if we just work hard and use our speed, that'll be good for us.
So last year during one of our interviews with Curry, she quoted that to be a successful team, you first have to build your foundation. What does that foundation look like for you guys?
I think we have really good team chemistry, and we're all really close, on the court and off the court, so I think that helps.
Yeah, going off that, some of us have played together for 3 or 4 years, so I think that is really good for our foundation.
Seeing that the girls fell short from the state title, finishing 17-5, how does the team plan to bounce back this year? This is for Coach.
Last year was a tough loss, tough way to end it against Shawnee Mission Northwest, I think that was the third year in a row we've played them to go to state, and we had split each year. One year lost, 1 year beat them to go to state, and then fortunately lost it in overtime. So those are gut punches a little bit, but just really proud of the way the kids played. And those things are motivation, I guess, to some. But when it really comes down to it, this is a game, and it's just fun to play basketball. And these kids have super high basketball IQs. They know a lot about the game, and it's just about getting on the same page. And as Erica and Sarah Beth kind of both alluded, it's really more about trying to figure out what roles we got to take on. We lost a lot of rebounding with losing Kaylee Kappelman, who almost averaged 10 a game last year. So how do you overcome that with what we have coming back? Some scoring and some leadership pieces. There's openings for everybody, and those guys last year did a good job of filling in the gaps from years before and exceeding expectations. Now we'll see what these guys will do too. That'll be their challenge, and I'm excited to see what's gonna happen.
Kind of going back to that Shawnee Mission Northwest matchup, the game got really physical, really fast. Is there anything that is there bad blood there between your squad and theirs, and what will you do to approach that matchup this year?
Their team motto was rough and tough, maybe a little more rough than tough, and that's how they play. And kudos to them for fitting that moniker, I guess. That's how they did, and we can't go back and handle those things, but how we respond to that is more important than anything else. It's that mentality. Life is 10% of what happens to you, and 90% of how you respond to it. In cliche, and I'm a big believer in that.
Players, do you guys have any individual goals you'd like to set this season?
Since we lost Kaylee Kappelman and she was a big rebounder and defensive player, I'm trying to fill those shoes and focus more on rebounding, boxing out, and just overall defense. So,
Coach Bernstrom, what keeps bringing you back to coach each year?
I love it. Is that it? I don't know. Honestly, I have a hard time responding to that without crying because I love it. I love the game. I love these kids. I love the school.
I apologize to take away from the emotion of that answer, but I have to ask before our time runs out, who's the better coach, you or Coach Brandstrom?
Definitely this Coach Brandstrom. I don't mind bowing on that one. No, I respect what my wife does tremendously. She works really, really hard. It's a different thing. Like it's really tough. She hit on it well. She has to coach and manage people at different locations and spots. With coaching basketball, it's different because it's so many variables. I mean, it's one thing, and the one thing I envy about her position is kids. Hey, if you don't like what position you're in there, prove it. You just got to swim faster. Basketball, you can't do that. There's too many other variables that are in there. That's why I love the game of basketball, because it's really a team game. You're only as good as your weakest link. The more enthusiasm and people buy in, as Erica has mentioned, she wants to step up in the role of rebounding some more and playing some good defense. Sarah Beth is only like 31 points away from getting 1,000 points, which has never happened in our entire school history in terms of point scoring, and that's an incredible thing for her to do. She needs to score. I know that means she's got to shoot, but that's important for us. She's got to take on that role, and she embodies that. Erica can score, but she needs to rebound a little bit more because we need rebounders. So the kids that know what we need and they really go after that, man, that's special, really special.
All right, and that's all the time we'll have for the girls basketball team. We'll be right back after a quick break with the boys basketball team. Welcome back to the Winter Media Day. We are joined with our final team of the afternoon, the boys basketball team, here with Coach Mike Grove, Dee Goree, Chase Franks, and Chris Martinez. Coach, do you have anything you'd like to open up with?
Just like to say I appreciate you guys doing this. It's always fun to come and hear other coaches talk about their programs as well as talk about ours. So again, Ecom, thank you very much for this opportunity.
All right. Reporters, any questions?
Which juniors do you see stepping up as leaders this season?
We have a whole bunch of them. We probably have 12 guys right now that are fighting for spots. Obviously, I have Dee here on the panel, and we've got Christian Kralstad, TJ Kincaid, Carter Brown. So we have a bunch of juniors, as well as some other underclassmen that are fighting for spots. So it's going to be a dogfight.
How does the team plan to replace the height loss this year due to so many seniors graduating?
I think with the loss of height, we're a much faster team, so we're able to run the floor more often and get more transition in, and that's how we're going to score more.
I'd also add to that, defensively we're going to change our scheme a little bit, be a little more full court trapping, which will lead to more fast-paced basketball games. So that's what we're going to try to do with our speed and also with our numbers. Again, we're trying to play 10 or 12 guys. We're going to be interchangeable and be able to play at a lot faster pace.
A question for Coach. With the team having little varsity experience this year, how long do you predict it to take before the team begins to click?
Well, last year, they were 12-6 at the JV level, and then we played a pretty hefty summer schedule as well, and we played against really, really good talent. So, we expect to win right away. That's kind of what we've practiced and prepared to do, and I think the guys are ready for that challenge.
What are some of the pregame rituals you guys have?
Before games, we go in the locker room. We'll have a speaker and listen to a certain playlist and be goofy and dance and stuff. I don't know.
I kind of think it's important to be kind of goofy. You can't be serious all the time because you get stressed out. Being good before games, hour before game, that's fine. But if you're from 3 o'clock to 7, you're always stressed out. I don't think that's good. So like he said, we usually just kind of mess around a little bit, have some fun.
Me and John Lindsay listen to Drunken Love Remix by Beyonce before every game.
Coach, since you're planning on speeding up the overall game, are you also planning on using more subs this year due to fatigue?
Yeah, we'll play deeper. I think that'll make our practices that much better. Guys are not going to be so locked into minutes. They're going to have to earn those minutes in our practices. And I think it'll just be a much harder fight to get playing time. And then if you don't produce, you don't play. So there's an internal pressure there, and that's kind of what we're trying to create at this time.
All right, this one is for the players. I've seen morning practices since late August. How do you think that has helped your team prepare and grow?
It helps us by growing together because since the summer we've got a lot better at a lot of things. I'd say we've got a lot better at shooting, and with that we also have weights, so we've gotten a lot stronger, and that helps with getting contact and going to the rim and rebounding.
I think personally for me, the weights really helped me. The conditioning is obviously good, but with the new football coach coming in, really boosting our weights, it's helped every single one of us. You can see it.
Yeah, the preseason morning stuff is more speed and agility, and we're going to need that speed and agility in order to play the fast-paced game, so I think that's helped us there too.
Question for the players. What team is going to challenge you the most this year, and how are you planning on preparing for that team?
I'd say personally be Shawnee Mission East because I know a lot of people there, and I'm really close friends with a lot of the players there, so it'll just drive me to play harder whenever I'm matched up against those players.
Honestly, I'm not like him. I don't know that many people, so whatever game is next, I'm just looking at our December 4th game, whatever team that is, when I'm gonna try to be above them, obviously.
What does the team do to build strong relationships on and off the court?
Well, one thing we try to do is we do try to have some gatherings at players' houses as well as maybe the coach's house. We do have our away tournament that we go to in January, where last year we took our whole entire program. So anytime we have chances to get together outside of the school is always a great bonding experience. So we try to do those. Those are sometimes as meaningful as the practices are.
Also think as our team does a really good job of just texting each other, getting out there, sending out to each other, want to go shoot or just want to hang out. We do a good job of everyone gets together and just hangs out and does whatever. Not just we're all just doing our own thing for the whole year,
Also a question to the players: who has influenced you to play basketball this long, and why?
I would have to say my dad, because when I was really young, he'd put me on the little Tykes goal and have me shoot for hours on end. And every day in basketball, he always pushes me to do my best because he sees something in me that I don't even see yet. So I do it for him.
Well, I didn't start playing basketball competitively for the school till my last year. So I played in middle school, but then I started playing football. So I don't really know. I kind of like it better than football, any other sport really.
I started playing basketball when I moved to Kansas because all of my friends were athletic, neither in basketball or football. So I liked basketball more because we play more, and I just have fun playing basketball, so I continue playing it.
Coach, how has your coaching ability or style changed over your seasons here at Olathe Northwest? And what would you consider your biggest success, and how does that translate to this reiteration of the Ravens?
Well, this team kind of reminds me of a team that we had about 7 or 8 years ago. We were small but quick and didn't have a lot of post presence, so we kind of went to a little bit different defense, a little more extended and trapping, and that's what we're trying to do at this point. So I think as a high school coach, because you can't recruit your players, you kind of have to kind of morph your team into what fits them and what we feel like could give us the best chance to be successful. So we've kind of developed a plan and an idea, and now the hard part is implementing it and putting in the work, and these guys are doing that.
This one's for the players as well. Last year you guys lost at Sub-State, and how has that defeat encouraged more motivation for this season?
I don't really know. We saw that. We've just been hitting the weights, like I said, and preseason stuff. We want to get back to that point and even farther. State's our end goal, obviously. We're striving for that.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident in this team to get farther than that because I think we could beat any team out here. So seeing that loss really made me want to do it not only for my family and my players, but for all the seniors who lost last year to follow in their footsteps.
All right, and that will conclude our 2018 Winter Media Day. Thank you to all the coaches and athletes that took their time to participate, and thank you to the administration for helping us out, making this event possible. I'm Jack Clayton, signing out.